This is Coach Dez here. I'm here to talk about the Ravens for their draft day. This is the Ravens offense for 2019. And then this is their numbers for the offense of 2020.
Yeah.
Sorry, I started. So, again, now the Ravens, in order to reclaim first place, you have got to do what you do best. Now, your team was the team that had the most players that opted out last year. So I do see y'all doing a lot better this year than you did last year. Again, 2019 you was 14-2. This year you was 11-5. You got to learn how to do better, and I'm gonna tell you exactly where you're weak at. So as far as the draft picks, coaches, y'all need to reevaluate the players that opted out, and then determine from there where you should go. So this is what I have. Rushing right, you average 5.76 in 2020, but in 2019 it was 5.64, still the same. Rushing to the left was 6.34 in 2019. Guess what? Rushing to the left was 6.47. Again, still the same. Passing to the right, 11.28 in 2020. Passing to the right, 10.64. Again, about the same. Passing down the middle was 13.81 in 2019. 11.91 in 2020. You dropped a little bit, but not by much. Passing to the left was 10 yards in 2020. Passing to the left was 9.96. Again, the same. Now, this is where my concern come in, quarterback. You got 11 sacks right here in the second quarter for the whole season. You got 13 sacks for the whole season in 2020. That's a big problem. I'm going to tell you what I tell my quarterbacks. Some yards is better than no yards. Some yards is better than a sack. Some yards is better than an interception. And some yards is better than a fumble. So if you have to get out of the pocket and you can pick up a yard or two, it's better than a negative yard or an interception or a fumble. Now, if you can throw the ball away, throw the ball away. I prefer that than you to get injured and then they take you out. Okay? So you got to be smarter with the ball. You got running backs, you got receivers. Evidently, you definitely got a receiver that goes down the middle because you're averaging 12 yards per pass down the middle. 1.88 sacks in 2019, 2.12 in 2020. Again, the same. Interceptions, 0.69 in 2020. Fumbles, 1.12. But in 2019, 0.5 and 0.75. So again, the offense pretty much stayed the same. So your overall passing average was 64.3% in 2020. You're a little down because in 2019, 66.4. Again, you had a lot of players that opted out. So maybe this year it definitely will be different. You averaged 29.2 points per game in 2020. But in 2019, 33.2 points. So you are down 4 points, which is understandable when you have a large amount of people that decide to opt out of the game because of the pandemic. But I'm not going to blame all of that on the offense, because if you look at the numbers, you pretty much stayed the same. You're not off by much. But what you is off on is defense. So let's look at your defense numbers. Here's the 2019 defense numbers. And here's the 2020 defense numbers. So let's see what y'all gave up. Rushing right, 5.22 in 2020, 5.37 in 2019, the same. Rushing to the left, 4.16 in 2019, 5 yards in 2020. So you went up just a little bit, but it's just a smidgen. Passing to the right was 11.26 in 2019, 10 yards in 2020. You improved there a little bit. Passing down the middle was 10.83 in 2020, and down the middle was 13.91 in 2019. You did improve in preventing the ball from being caught and giving up a lot of yards. But passing to the left was 9.97 in 2019, 9.58 in 2020. So it sounds like your corners, but then again, it could be that those are the ones that opted out. Only you know who opted out. I know who opted out, but I'm not going to say. So again, your defense was weak. 2.69 in sacks in 2020, 2.38 in sacks in 2019. One interception per game in 2019 and 1.25 fumbles in 2019 to 8.88 in 2020 and 1.44 in 2020. So again, if you look at these numbers, you say, well, they not that much off, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So your overall passing average on defense you allowed was 61% in 2020. Whereas in 2019, 56.99. That's a big jump. You may not see it as a big jump, but that's a big jump. You gave up 17.6 points to your opponents in 2019, 18.9 points in 2020. Your defense stayed the same, but you gave up more passing yards in 2020. It may not look like a lot, but we could say, hey, the first and the fourth quarter, again, first, second, see how you went first, second, you were consistent throughout giving up yards in 2019. But in 2020, first, third, and fourth is where you gave up a lot of yards. So again, I'm not trying to say that you need to reevaluate, but you do need to reevaluate those players that opted out and they're coming back, as well as pick up who you can in the draft, improve your defense, whether it be corners, middle linebackers, DBs, or safety. With that being said, peace out.